As part of my job as a life coach, I do a lot of teaching. That means I host classes quite often, and I'm part of some teaching programs, so I teach a lot of things. Moreover, when you work with different life coaches, they have different styles. Some of them are more conversational, some of them are more, activity based. But for me, I like to teach a lot because a lot of my coaching foundations are based in Buddhism. And in order to really kind of go beyond the initial glimpses and the first glances at first impressions of Buddhism, you do need a little bit more in depth understanding of things before they actually start to make sense in your life. Which sort of begs the question, how do I study? Because my YouTube channel and because my coaching in general is targeted towards people of all ages, I get this question a lot from teenagers or young adults, and sometimes fully grown adults who want to venture out into learning some new skills, but they don't know how to learn that well. So let's study that, ironically study in a studying video in depth a little bit. Regarding studying, I think the biggest factor is your burning curiosity about the topic, right? It's gotta be like just burning. It's like a hot, intense fire. Why is this so important? Because this allows you to overcome the frustrations of not understanding something in the first try. Okay, when you don't understand something in the first try, it doesn't make sense. You first have like a negative experience, right? Oh, I don't get it. And now, depending on your life experiences, that may be amplified into like, I'm stupid. Oh, why don't I get this? Okay, so when you're in that spot, you already know you're feeling bad. But when there's nothing that compels you to go forward even more, you tend to stop. So, I am a guy who wants to learn how to play guitar. And turns out guitar is pretty hard. And then now I get frustrated, right? Especially playing the F chord, which is a really hard chord to play as a beginner. But with that frustration, I have the option to stop right here. No more guitar. Or I have the option to continue playing guitar. And in order to do that, I need some kind of a motivation. And that motivation can be internal or external, right? So external motivation is like someone being like, if you don't play, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. Or if you don't play, then you owe me a lot of money. Those turn out to be external motivators. But needless to say, these, while they can work, while they can be effective in your learning, they expend energy. Therefore, you have this energy tank, right? When you have this amount of energy, right, it works. This method of external motivation works until you run out of gas. But when you run out of gas, you reach a state where you get completely burnt out and you enter kind of a ill zone. Your heart and your mind is no longer healthy. Therefore, it cannot take additional stress. It will just make the illness a lot worse. And I'm not just, this sounds like a, abstract thing, but think of it in physical terms. When you exhaust your body and then you keep overexhausting it, you get sick. And at that point, if you don't stop and take the time to recover, then you get sicker. And then when you get really, really sick and then even sicker, then nothing tends to work out. Your body will shut down and prioritize survival. Same thing sort of happens inside of your mind. So that's why, even though external motivators can work, I encourage you to work with internal motivators. So we remove that. Internal motivators are basically passion. I want to do that. I want to play guitar because I would really like to learn how to play Wonderwall. For me, when I started playing guitar, it was the song. It was a Green Day song that my guitar teacher, Paul, taught me. I hope you're doing well, Paul. I don't know if you're gonna see this video, but I really wanted to play this "Time of Your Life" song by Green Day because my guitar teacher was playing it so effortlessly, and I really wanted to emulate that feeling of like not carelessly, just a carefree playing of guitar, and that's looked so liberating. And when I have that, it doesn't matter whether I understand things in the first try or not. It doesn't matter if I'm a visual learner or not. It doesn't matter if I'm an audio learner or not. My passion gets to dictate. And so I have this ideal that I want to reach, right? And with this, in pursuit of this mountain, right? I will sometimes take this path and fall. 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 But you know what? Because there's this intense desire to get here, I will eventually reach this point. And now, what do I get as a result? Of course, I get guitar playing as a result. But what also happens as a side effect is that I get to figure out what kind of works for me and what kind of doesn't work for me. So, I live life a little bit longer and then I have a new interest. So, for example, I want to learn how to trade stocks. I want to make a lot of money and I want to do it with investments. I want to be a little more financially literate. Now, I'm climbing the same mountain, but I know that in general, previously when I started out here in this area, things didn't really work that well. So, maybe I'll try starting from here. Hey, and you know what? I'll go here and then I go down. Oh, you know what? This is so much better than the guitar playing, right? Because the experience of guitar playing gave me an idea. While it's not the same mountain, while this is the guitar mountain and while this is the money mountain, they're both kind of similar in that they are both mountain climbing experiences, right? So, while the skill that you're trying to learn, while the knowledge that you are trying to obtain is specific, there is a bit of general nature to the act of learning itself. Which is why it is so important for me to add these few words of advice. This means that, number one, do things that you like, right? And now, this means, number two, when you do things you don't like, sorry, my handwriting is bad, don't like, it's okay to not be good at it. Okay, so this sounds like a really obvious thing, right? But when you live life, you will learn that, hey, I'm a student, and if you're like Billy from high school, I like sciences. I tend to be a rational thinker, and I like doing science things. But at the same time, because I need a well-rounded education and I need to graduate high school, I also need to do some literature, which I don't necessarily like. Now, this means when I get stuck with the physics problem, I am going to be motivated to try and solve the problem for myself. I'm not going to be looking for easy way out. When I do things that I don't necessarily want to do, I'm always going to look for a cliff notes. I'm always going to look for somebody to copy off of, right? So, the thing is, when you try to do this well, of course, it is a worthwhile experience, right? But, and you know what? If you have the discipline to apply yourself to this, it's good. But in the case that you don't have that discipline, I don't want this to be a reason to suffer for you. And now, let me explain that point. Your life will have many degrees to branch out of, right? Now, suppose at an early age you wanted to branch out this way, and these things didn't really interest you. Now, there is nothing in the future that guarantees that things will always stay this way. Your interests will change. Maybe after you reach this point, you realize that this is very important. So now you are going to pursue this. Before you couldn't because you didn't know the importance of this because you never reached this state. And because of that, you will go here, right? So for example, I was not a history guy. And I was really bad with years and numbers. I have kind of a dyslexia for numbers, which is weird for an engineer, but hey, it's the truth, right? So I really struggled with history, but now guess what? Because I am so deeply interested in Buddhism and the human mind, this has led to a new appreciation and a desire for understanding human history. And now, because I am interested in history, I get to have that same kind of passion that I have for Buddhism in history. And it spreads over. And now, because I understand history, I get to be interested in philosophy. And because I get an interest in philosophy, I get a rekindled love for math, which is another thing that I really sucked at. And when I get to be better at math, I get to experience education because now I'm thinking, why was this so hard when I was in college and then when I was in high school, right? So my interest will always take me to the place where I need to be in my life. There is no reason I need to force anything. Now, which is why I'm saying, if your natural trajectory of life is wanting to be kind of a well-rounded person, hey, good for you. Go ahead with that. But if you are thinking, I'm really good at this, but I really need to be good at this. Why do I suck at this so much? Then this becomes your natural humanness, right? And your innate wisdom inside of you becomes a reason for you to suffer. And I really want to tell you that, hey, no matter how stupid you think you are, no matter how slow you think you are in certain areas, you are at your own speed. And when you're at your own speed and when you only focus, right, on your growth, not compared to other people's, just your growth. Take what you can in a day. Be a suffering-free person learning. Then, remember the energy tank diagram from before? You will thrive in longevity because you're always having fun. You're always enjoying putting knowledge into your head. And that is how you become a lifelong learner. And life full of learning is a very rich life to live. So, how to study well? Be okay with sucking at things that you're not necessarily interested in. When you know what you are interested in, deeply pursue that. Okay, now, lastly, you might have the question, but I don't know what I'm interested in. So, this may indicate one particular thing. Your mind may already have been depleted by parental expectations, by expectations on yourself, by peer pressure. Your energy tank may have already run out. At that state, it's very important that you invite more play, more rejuvenation into your life. So, if that means video games for hours and days and months, it's okay. You need to take that time. Life is short, but at the same time, very long. It's important that you live your life free of suffering. A lifelong life full of suffering, I don't want to live that life compared to short life, no suffering. I would much rather have that. And you know what? I'm 30 something years old. I can die today. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Why? Because I'm not suffering. So, if you don't have your interest, you may be already depleted. More play into your life. If you don't feel like you're not that mentally straight and yet you don't know what you're interested in, it's time for you to explore. Be voracious. Try everything and see where that takes you. You're gonna like it or not. You didn't like it? Good. Not knowing that you don't like something is equally as important as knowing you like something. Try out the next thing. Try out the thing that you liked about the other thing and mix and match. And you will find a rich life in no time.